All right, this is a 2003 Roadtrek 190. This is on the Chevy 3500 chassis, and this is a really cool van. Not only does it look really cool, but it's got a lot of cool features inside. And this is one of my favorite Class Bs out there because my original camper van, the one that started this whole journey for me in Phoenix Off-Grid Solutions, was a 96 Dodge Roadtrek. And there's also a 190. And me and my family traveled in that for a total of like 8 months. And it really served us well. It took us across the country and all the way back. We rented it when we were living in Portland. We made a bunch of money off of it, and then we also sold it for a decent amount. And it was in its prime. Maybe it wasn't in its prime, but it was well taken care of. It went on to another owner that ended up taking it all the way to Alaska. So these Roadtreks have a special place in my heart, and I was really excited to be able to do an off-grid electrical upgrade on this van. We're going to take a look at all of the upgrades. I also did an AC upgrade, a fridge upgrade, and added a little bench seat by the door. What else do I want to say about this? I know there are a lot of purists out there and they want to keep their Roadtrek in pristine original condition, and we did not do that here. But, or I should say, and the client who owns this van is really happy with it, and we customized it to their intended use, which is just to have a lot of fun with their family and their very big dog. If you are looking for an upgrade like this on your Roadtrek, please reach out. If you are looking for a wiring diagram for your Roadtrek, please reach out. If you want to just know where I got the stuff and what I used in this video on this Roadtrek, just hit me up and I'll drop a link right in the comments. All right, walking in here. When this client got the van, it did not have the third seat here. So they've just been kind of not using it, and there was a shelving unit here, but they wanted to have something. So I quick made a box. It's just 3/4 pre-finished plywood, very simple. There's not even any hardware. The lid just kind of fits tight in there, and it's a place for them to sit and also store stuff. And also you get a little storage cubby down in there. Also, right off the bat, you can see that the fridge is different. So we took the 3-way fridge that was in there, the old absorption style fridge, and we replaced it with a Frigidaire. This is a 2.5 cubic foot mini fridge that I got just on Amazon. I switched the hinges. It plugs into the same 120 outlet that's behind the fridge originally, and it has a little freezer. This thing runs about 5 amps of DC power, and it runs through our inverter. Pretty easy to install. I made a little riser for it so that it's taller and not shorter, and then just took some strips of pre-finished plywood and just made a little frame around it. All right, moving back under the bed, right, we have the original kind of plumbing box here that's accessible from the front and from the top. I made a little cooling fan. I installed a little cooling fan. This is by AC Infinity. I think this is the 80mm version. It has a little controller for speed. It also has a little temp sensor. And that will exhaust hot air from this cavity. So when all the lids are closed and the cushions are on top, it may get kind of warm in here. And so what we have in this box is a 120 amp Victron MPPT, and this controls the solar panels that are on the roof, and I'll show you what we have up there. I think it's a 300 watts, 2 150 watt Lensun solar panels, which are really nice. They're the flexible kind. On the other side of this wall, we have our Orion 30 amp DC-DC charger. Now, we took out the all the stuff that was under the hood and installed this straight to a power post under the hood, and I can show you that too if you're interested. But what I did here was I put a hole through the wall, so when this thing starts exhausting, it's going to be pulling air from in here through these fins and bringing it out. The temp sensor for this fan is all the way over here, so it's sensing hot air in this cavity, which also is sort of connected to this cavity because this is open right here. So, and all of this is empty. All of that automatic transfer switch stuff is all empty. And we have a Multiplus 2000 under here. So what I basically did was build like a frame over the Multiplus. You can see the top of it right there. And then installed our power distribution center using a BEP Easy Pro installer switch. Really like these. I use them on almost every build. This is a modified Lynx power in, but it serves as a distribution center for our inverter conductors. It has our 6 gauge for our Orion. This is our main ground. This is our DC loads. This is the original DC conductor for the loads. And then we have our 20 amp of solar coming in over here. All of this is really nice and tight and compact. And when the bed is on here, it's kind of a pain to get to, but this door was originally installed and you can open this and stick your hand in here and be able to turn the main switch on and off. So when you want to power the system completely down, you have your main on-off switch, you have a DC-DC breaker under the hood, and then we have a solar breaker all the way up here in this cabinet right here. So our solar comes in back there, routes through this DC breaker, which is currently off. Turn that back on. And now it's supplying power to our MPPT, which then goes to our battery. Now the batteries are under the van. We have 2 Epoch 300 amp hour lithium iron phosphate batteries mounted under the van, and I'll show you what I did there. But basically we took the generator out and I modified the hangers that the generator used and created a custom undermount battery tray. Now to view all of this stuff, I painstakingly removed this panel, ran wires up the wall. It was a major pain. This whole thing right here, this whole panel is actually metal and it's wrapped in fabric, which I did not know. And there's hardly any clearance behind here. Luckily, I was able to get our BMV battery monitor and our multi-control for the inverter. Now this is a very simple remote on-off switch for the inverter. The only downside is that it has a really bright blue light when the inverter is on. On the BMV right now, you can see we have 1 amp of power coming in, but it will show you watts, state of charge, and voltage, not only of your house battery, but you can also do it so that you can see it for your starter battery. So when the inverter is on, it's powering our 120 mini fridge. It's also powering over here our air conditioner. So I took that original air conditioner out. What was it called? Like a something cat, like a cool cat, or it was a mini split sort of like heating and cooling unit, right? It was connected to this this thermostat, but that is completely gone. And I removed all of that and popped in this very efficient low BTU. It's not very powerful, but it's enough for the van AC unit. Let's take a look outside on the roof to see what I'm talking about. All right, now up on the roof here, you can see I have the cover removed, the air conditioner is here, and I have 2 pieces of 1/2-inch insulation. Now insulation is something I added later and spray painted it so that you don't really see it through the grill. But it does make a big difference because one of these is the intake and one of them is the exhaust. And when it's a window unit and there's a lot of ventilation, it doesn't matter a whole bunch. But when it's heat logged inside of this box, it does matter. So what this does is it gives a pathway for air to come in and come out and not mix completely. But basically I cut through, there was a bunch of plastic baffling in here. I took all of that out. I closed these openings right here, plastic and some silicone. Same on the other side. I added some aluminum angle. I had to like bring it up off the floor. And then I used some black expanding spray foam because I was not sure how watertight this whole thing was going to be. I mean, if the van was parked on a hill and the front was tilted downward and water got in here and water started filling up, is it going to spill inside? I mean, maybe it would, but we haven't had that issue. You know, and it's designed, I mean, with a similar type of, you know, cooling unit. So, you know, I did the best I could. Our cabling just plugs in right there. So if you need to unplug it or reset the breaker, you have to take the lid off. But it hasn't been an issue so far. So great. Here's where our solar comes in using our little Scanstrut. I use these on every single solar installation. I even use them for rooftop air conditioners. They come in a larger version. I'll have a link in the description. And then these are our solar panels. I also did a max fan upgrade in the middle there, but these are two 150 watt Lensun solar panels. These are flexible panels. They are textured. I have used them in like walkable applications. And when I install flexible panels, I use this 3M dual lock. It's like a heavy duty industrial Velcro. And what that does is it gives an air gap below the panels, so that there's no like direct contact with the panel to the roof, because these things can get really hot. And if you need to pull it up, you can just pull it up and, you know, put some more Velcro on another panel. If you use just VHB tape on these panels, it's really hard to get them up without damaging them. So in a situation where you want to take up a panel because you need to do something to the roof, you can do that. You know, paint it, clean it, whatever. And then all of our solar cabling up there. So really happy with how this turned out. I'll have links in the description for these panels too. All right, so here's the undermount tray that I made. It's a custom undermount tray using the original Onan undermount hanger. So the side bits are from the Onan generator. I just took that off, took it to a local fabricator, gave him this, like the dimensions and my basic, like, you know, idea for housing these batteries. And at the time we had just put the one battery in, and then we put it up there. And now it's come back to me a year later, and I didn't clean it off on purpose, just so you can kind of see what kind of grime is on this battery from being mounted underneath this Roadtrek. And at that time, I opted to put on an MRBF fuse. This is a 250 amp MRBF fuse. And I'm not going to reinstall that. You can see this is the nice new clean battery. We're going to drop this in right here, and it's, you know, pre-designed to fit two batteries. I'm going to run cables from negative to negative and positive to positive in a parallel fashion. And then once it's remounted, I'll do like a main negative pickup here, and then the main positive pickup here. Now the positive is going to go from here to a Class T fuse. All right, so here we have our Epoch batteries in the hanger, modified from the Onan generator hangers. And we have our Class T fuse mounted on the side. So I was able to get my torque wrench up there and tighten the bolts on the batteries. And you can see there's where we have our cables running inside of the van. Also our main ground lug. So I really like how everything's accessible. And we have our differential as being like a low point there. I feel pretty safe with the batteries and the fuse being mounted the way they are. All right, under the hood here, for those of you that want to know how I did the DC-DC charger, you can see that our old, what did they call that? What did they call that? That old, that old solenoid type unit is completely gone. And then in its place, we have a surface mount breaker that I have labeled Orion DCDC 60 amp. And then I also have like a power post down there too. So basically we have a cable running from the battery over here, runs over here to our power post, and then from the power post it runs to our DC-DC charger. There's also a third connection, which is from the alternator. So the alternator, because remember the original unit has like 3 posts. It has the battery, the alternator, and then the output. And so we have all of those 3 joined on one post here with a little cover. And then I'm using the original cable that goes from that guy all the way back to where we have our DC-DC charger now, with this breaker in the middle. So if you press the red button, the latch opens, and that means that the circuit is open, meaning that no current will flow. If you want to put it back into operation, just put the little arm in, you're good to go.